Ray David. She will not be here tonight, but we have a quorum. So we will carry on. We have Councilman Julius Buckley, Roscoe Ward, Matt Waters, Rachel Hall, our city attorney Tom Ramsey, Scott Swaggart, our city manager, and Ms. Alice Rios, our city secretary. Okay, and we're going to have our invocation tonight by our one and only Mr. Stephen McCandless.
Good evening. Bow your heads, please. Father, thank you so much for bringing us together tonight to do your work. Continue to bless this city, this state, and this nation. Watch over us. Watch over those city leaders who make the decisions that will guide the community and assist the citizens. God, let their thoughts be your thoughts, and let the words that leave their mouth be your words. Their decisions honor you. God, continue to bless all of us. Be with those who are sick, the needy, the poor, and those who are suffering. Because God, we know it is only through you each and every day that we make it through each day. Continue to watch over us. All this we ask in your name, God. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, I'm going to ask Councilman Buckley to do the U.S. flag and the Texas flag.
The American flag, I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Texas flag.
Under the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Okay, we're going to start off tonight. This is a City of Cleveland certifies that Cindy Hudman has successfully completed 5 years of employment with the City of Cleveland and is therefore awarded this certificate of appreciation. Cindy, we appreciate you, the work that you do. Every time I go to the library, you're always very friendly, and you love your job, you love the city, and just thank God that you're on our team. Here is your plaque, and also, that's from the City of Cleveland. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now, we'll have the Employee of the Month in recognition of his outstanding performance, hard work, and dedication to the City of Cleveland. That will be July 2024, Employee of the Month, Mr. David Harrison.
Absolutely.
Glad to have you. Come on and take a picture.
Oh, yeah. Where you want me?
Right here you go. Thank you, Mr. Gill. God bless you.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, Mr. Moore. Okay. Okay, Okay, City of Cleveland, certificate is awarded to David Everhart in recognition of his outstanding performance, hard work, and dedication to the city of Cleveland. He's fired up, isn't he?
He said 8 years, he said.
Come on, take a
He
picture.
said, I deserve it.
Put your logo together?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we can.
Come
Roger, if you want to get that.
So these guys really go above and beyond. They're over at our sewer plant. And they really, especially during Beryl, made sure that our wastewater and water
Come on,
systems
Rob.
were working.
Got one more.
and, in full operation while we were dealing with all the aftermath of the
Yeah.
hurricane. And so these guys went way above and beyond to make sure everything was going. And so we just appreciate everything that they did and continue to do for us.
That's a
Come on.
surprise. That's a surprise.
All right.
Oh, we got another one.
Okay, I have one more. This proclamation I'm gonna read. Miss Mary Cohn. She's our longtime city librarian. She does a tremendous job at the library and been doing it for a long time. We appreciate what you do. Few years? Yeah. Right. City of Cleveland proclamation. Whereas libraries are essential for the education and development of children, offering everything from preschool, story times, to college and career planning resources for high school students, nurturing literacy and love for reading. Whereas libraries provide welcoming and inclusive spaces where individuals from all backgrounds can learn and connect, bridging cultural, ethnic, generational, and economic divides, and strengthening the social fabric of their communities. Whereas libraries assist people of all ages in navigating life complexities, offering access to research, information, government services that enhance productivity and fulfillment. Whereas libraries boost the local economy by providing critical access to technology and training for job seekers, entrepreneurs, and students. Whereas libraries are committed to creating and maintaining diverse programs and collections that reflect the community they serve, ensuring equitable access to all. Whereas a library card ignites creativity and empowers individuals to explore new interests and pursue lifelong learning. Therefore, be it resolved, I, Danny Lee, Mayor of the City of Cleveland, proclaim September as Library Card Sign-Up Month. In witness whereof, I hereunder set my hand, calls on the City of Cleveland to be affixed. Cleveland, Texas, rather, to be affixed. Ms. Conn, once again, thank you for the few years that you've been here. All right, thank you. Okay. Now we move along to item number 6, will be public comments. Any person with city-related businesses may speak to the council in compliance with the Texas Open Meeting Act. The city council may not discuss or vote on any matter raised in public comments unless it's specifically on the agenda. To speak during the council meeting, you must be recognized by the presiding officer. And also, if you're here and you need to speak, if you haven't signed in, you need to sign in before we can speak. But I have two. First will be Mr. Jonathan Copeland, 30124 Alpine, here in Cleveland. Okay, now you get 3 minutes to speak, and Miss Alice will keep the time. And when she raises her hand, that means 3 minutes up. And I'll raise my hand too. So, Mr. Copeland.
My name is Jonathan Copeland, and my family resides in Grand Oaks. I request an item for the next agenda regarding a 42-inch high-velocity natural gas liquids pipeline that is proposed to come through town. This pipeline is starting in the Permian Basin in West Texas and ending in Louisiana near Lake Charles. This would be the biggest pipeline in the area compared to the existing pipeline. And the product in this pipeline is not intended for local residents or businesses in Cleveland. Many people I know do not have gas connections in their homes. Nevertheless, the demand for this product is for export overseas. There is no current demand for NGL and local gross production. Instead, there's a demand for export facilities so wealthy CEOs and financial shareholders can acquire more wealth. This desire for more wealth is an inherent risk to the safety of our children at Northside Elementary. According to a formula used by the federal government, prepared by the Gas Research Institute, the high consequence area is close to 1,100 feet for a 42-inch gas pipeline with an operating pressure of 1,440 psi. Northside is well within that assumed radius, sitting close to approximately 900 feet from the route. And the pipeline company went on record and said at their open house meeting here in Cleveland that the elementary school is less than 1,000 feet from the proposed route. These pipelines rupture, leak, and blow out all the time. There was recently a disruption to the water service in Cleveland not that long ago. We were told to boil water because the contractor punctured a water main line. This gas is very dense and collects close to the ground like an invisible puddle. It doesn't move upward and dissipate into the air like natural gas does. It is recommended that people do not operate motor vehicles or cell phones and radios in the area of a leak. There is nothing we can do to stop this pipeline from leaking or exploding. However, there's a lot at stake here for the city of Cleveland. The local coordinators for the emergency services will need to come up with a comprehensive emergency plan in the event an explosion or leak occurs. These situations can be very costly to the city, requiring additional hazmat gear and hazmat training for the emergency response teams. In addition to that, I advise the city look into current zoning regulations to ensure that no residential, commercial, or even high occupancy buildings like churches or schools be built within the high consequence zone of this pipeline. This pipeline is a permanent underground structure. When they bury it, it will be out of sight and out of mind. Cleveland has experienced exponential growth as I recently got lost in my own former high school that's been expanded so many times. I can imagine that this growth is not going to stop, so I recommend the city look into putting policy in place to protect its constituents. I also encourage the city to take advantage of using a wide variety of independent groups. Thank you. We can talk more about this later. You have my cards, and thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Mr. Copeland. Okay, if you have any city concerns that you have with the city, we have the first Tuesday of every month at the Crossing Coffee Shop at 9 a.m.
Thursday.
I'm sorry. First Thursday of every month. You can come and we have myself, city manager, and all of our department heads.
Okay.
So if you want to discuss this further, or if you know anybody else that want to talk anything that pertains to the city, you can use it at that time.
I appreciate
Okay.
that.
You're welcome. Okay. Next, we'll have Adrian Mustang. Okay. 816 College Avenue. Okay. Ms. Adrian.
Can they give you all the backup paper? Or yeah.
Good evening, my name is Adrienne Mestero. I live at 816 South College Avenue. This is my neighbor, Ms. McClellan, she lives behind me. The reason why we came here tonight is I purchased my house about 2 years ago, and we are in the middle of getting a new survey done. And we found out that there was an alleyway for utilities in between our properties. It's about 10 feet wide, and that's what I provided a copy of my older survey since we're in the middle of it right now. Ms. McClellan did some due diligence, and we found out that the alleyway that's located there is actually owned by the city, and no one comes and maintains it or anything like that. So with the help of Lone Star Title down the street, they pulled a map from 1935 showing that the city actually went through the Carter Addition and Circle Drive area and took 10 feet between most properties for these types of alleyways. What we're asking is for the city to abandon the alleyway and return it to the residents. That way we would split it 50-50 and those residents would get 5 feet back each and it would be absorbed back into our property. The upside to that is I would now be maintaining an additional 5 feet of my property. It would also be probably increasing my property tax a little bit, but it also results the city of having to maintain it, which in the 2 years, I hate to say, has not been maintained. We've maintained it already. How this came up is I'm looking to build a garage, and so I've been working with the city and finding out what I need to do. So if we can get the city to abandon the alleyway, I can have my survey completed and absorb that in before they go any further with it. So I'm asking for the city to take it up for a matter for the next council meeting to let us know. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Mr. Williams, do we have ADC for?
Yes, sir, we do.
Okay, we do have a for ADC. I went over my head, I'm sorry. Okay. Okay, reports from members of council regarding attendance of boards, commissions, social functions, conventions, workshops, ceremonial events, press conferences, candidate forums, and similar events where no formal action was taken, and discussion of public business and incidental to the event. Okay, I'm going to start on my left. Ms. Hall, do you have any comment tonight?
I just want to say thank you to everyone who is here or watching online, and also congratulate that all of our students have returned as our new district. So wishing all the teachers and students and staff a safe and prosperous year of education. And then also wanted to acknowledge our police department and all the many hours that they're working with their staffing levels right now, and appreciate them for what they're doing, facing the current situation that they're facing. So thank you to our police department. That's all I have.
Okay, Mr. McGuire.
Well, definitely echoing what Ms. Hall said, thank you so much for our first responders, our police, our fire department, and thanks for staff. They've been diligently working on our budget that we'll talk a little bit on tonight, but a lot of hard work went into that, so thank you all very much for those, that time and effort in putting together a very challenging budget.
I'll just echo on Blackwater staff. Thank y'all so much for the job well done with the budget, working on it. And each department within our city, thank y'all for all y'all do. So just continue and we'll walk this board together. So we're good.
Well, I guess they're gonna take on mine today. Thank you to all the staff for working on the budget. I know it's tedious and having to cut stuff a lot to make everything work out. Attended the parks meeting this month and went pretty well. Roger got with Mr. Carter on a couple things. And airport board, what was that again? Yeah, about 40. Right at 40 for half gas. And then, of course, we have the Fonzie vote that we're going to talk about in the meeting. Brought up. So I know for now.
Well, I'd just like to add to what the other council said. I just want to thank all the employees. We have 130 employees. Everybody from Scott all the way down to custodians. I just want to thank everybody, the staff here in City Hall has been working, night and day on this budget. It's a very tedious job. A lot goes into it. And, I just want to thank them for the job that they're doing. The public work guys, it's been a heat warning this past week and probably going to be in the future. And I just tell you guys to be sure and stay hydrated. It's really, really hot outside and it can get dangerous real quick. So I just get that advice to all the employees. And I'd like to thank everyone for attending the meetings tonight. I mean, it means a lot. We have people show up and, trying to, learn about what goes on in our city government. I guess I said we're doing something right. And also, again, I'd like to point out, if you have any city-related business that you want to talk to myself or any department head, the first Thursday of every month, Crossing Coffee Shop, we'll be there and we'll discuss any city business with you, and we can respond. But on this forum, we can't respond unless it's on the agenda. But that's when we can really respond and we can go in depth on any problem or issue that you have with the city. Okay, thank you. That'll be all. Okay, item number 8, public hearing. Proposed budget for fiscal year 2025. Do I have anyone who would like to? Would that be Emilio?
Oh, no. He's getting ready for his presentation. Sit down.
Okay. With that being said, we'll close the public hearing on the proposed 2025 budget. Item number 9, public hearing on proposed text amendment for the following sections of the City of Cleveland Code of Ordinances, amending Chapter 126 zoning, Article 2 administration, Division 2 zoning board of adjustment, and add to Section 126 through 35 special exceptions, and amending Chapter 126 zoning, Article 6 parking regulations, Section 126 through 236, not applicable in central business district.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Before the public comments begin on this public hearing, I just wanted to provide kind of an overview of this item from a staff perspective, so that way we can inform the public's comments that they may have. But just kind of the origin and the impetus of this item, this text amendment. So the text amendment, just for some background, is taking existing language that's adopted for the zoning ordinance for these specific sections that were cited, and amending that to adopt new language. In this case, this is going to be incorporating a new process into the zoning ordinance called special exceptions, and I'll get more into that. But really the origin of this is, over the past few decades, the city's zoning ordinance has been kind of applied and enforced on a varying spectrum, right, of strict or not so strict. So that's created some inconsistencies in the built environment. I think you can all scan around Cleveland and see that the development, rules were applied differently in different cases. So what this is attempting to do is kind of level the playing field a little bit and say, on a case-by-case basis, what's appropriate in terms of deviations from some adopted development standards and criteria. Things like area requirements, like lot sizes, minimum frontage, setbacks, those are treated with zoning variances, and there's a stricter criteria for considering those types of deviations. This is a special exception. These are for less, injurious or less serious types of requirements of the zoning ordinance. And in this case, this text amendment would allow a special exception to deviate from parking requirements as well. our zoning ordinance doesn't have too many other regulations. There's a section called requirements for all for all districts. So the special exception could technically be granted for those. But this one, kind of the origin of this is that there was a property that needs to deviate from the parking requirements. Right now, there's not really a vehicle for that, so that's what this process would do, would allow them to go through a public process. They have to apply to the zoning board of adjustments. The staff will look at that case. They will recommend either approval or denial based on the context, the circumstances of the property and what's surrounding it, and see if granting that special exception is appropriate in that case. So these are case-by-case exceptions. So that's kind of the nature and the background of it, just to give some context to any questions or concerns from the public.
Okay, are you gonna expound on the next one or just?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do I have anyone that wants to comment on public hearing for chapter 126? Okay, not all at once. Okay, we're gonna close number 9 and we're gonna move on to item number 10. Public hearing for the proposed rezoning of approximately 1.3992 acres legally described as lots 1 through 12, block 3, Peebles Second Edition, abstract A-138, J. Booth Survey, Cleveland, Texas, listed as the following LCAD property ID numbers 92629, 92630, 92631, 92632, 92633, 136, 106, from general commercial to general commercial with the central business district overlay. Emilio.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. Emilio O'Brien, Director of Community Development. Again, just want to provide some background and context to this item. This is a proposed rezoning from general commercial to general commercial with central business district overlay. So we had a property owner approach us for 122 South Washington, which is, if you look at the maps, is at the northwest intersection of South Washington and West Hanson. They want to do a proposed redevelopment of that site, which is currently has a vacant kind of substandard structure on it. And so they want to redevelop that with a quick service restaurant concept type of development. It is a constrained site. Obviously they have to work within the existing footprints of the property boundaries and things like that. So that will require deviations from the code as well, right? We have in the proximity to this site, really this whole block, the Central Business District. And the Central Business District is kind of the zoning district that allows for more compact development, as would be appropriate for like a downtown core where property buildings are built up to the property line, built right up against each other, to provide for more of a compact urban setting. So that's really the purpose of adding this overlay. So the underlying zoning is still going to remain general commercial, and the uses will be regulated under general commercial. But in terms of property development standards like setbacks, things like that, that's going to be essentially void under the Central Business District. So, and then they're able to do some parking improvements within our right of way for on-street parking. But it is a little unusual that the city serves as the applicant of this of the rezoning request. We try to do that in instances where it makes more sense to rezone that entire area. In this case, our philosophy is that if this site needs some deviations for this redevelopment, those other sites are going to maybe need some deviations for their proposed redevelopment in the future. So we wanted to be more holistic and comprehensive with this rezoning, not just do a spot zoning of this one area, which may have adverse impacts on those surrounding areas. So that's really the nature and intent of this. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Do I have anyone that would like to speak on item number 10? Lots 1 through 12, block 3, Peebles Second Edition. Okay, going once, going twice. We'll close the public hearing on item number 10. Okay, now we're gonna move right along to our consent agenda. Consent agenda items are considered routine by city council and will be enacted on in one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items unless a council member requests an item to be removed and considered separately. Okay. And I'm sure that everyone has had a chance to review their agenda. So do I hear a motion to approve the consent?
I make a motion that we approve the consent.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Ward. I have a second by Mr. McWaters. All those in favor? Oh, Julius? Sorry about that. Okay, Mr. Butler.
But it's just a meeting minute. I thought that was good. Oh, we got the next one, day. Okay, we're good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. No, it's on this one.
I said, we're good.
Okay, no problem, it's all good. I have a motion on the table by Mr. Ward, a second by Mr. McWaters. All those in favor? Okay, motion carries 4-0. Okay, now we move along to our regular agenda. Discussion and possible action on item number 13. Approve contracts for employee benefits and authorize city manager to execute a Blue Cross Blue Shield, the Lyric.
Good evening. How are
Your
y'all doing?
name, sir?
My name is Leo Gutierrez, and I am with Brinson Benefits, your broker consultant,
Yes, sir.
as it relates to your benefit portfolio here at the city of Cleveland.
Welcome to Cleveland.
Thank you on this nice toasty Tuesday evening.
Nice and toasty.
Yeah, it is toasty. Basically, what we're here to do is make a recommendation that the city of Cleveland continue with Blue Cross Blue Shield and Lyric as their telemedicine provider. Blue Cross Blue Shield, the renewals for your medical benefits were received in July. And in the month of July, when we received it, we realized that Blue Cross had come out with about an 11% increase, a little over 11% on the total rates that the city's paying. So we went out to market as we typically do, and we went to all the major carriers. We went to Aetna, Cigna, Baylor Scott & White, United Healthcare. We got all the bids from all the carriers, and there was some actually carriers that didn't even want to bid. Aetna, Cigna, and Baylor Scott & White just declined flat out. Why did they decline? Various reasons, but mainly I think that when the carrier declines, they look at a loss ratio. How much is the city paying, or how much premium do they collect, and then how many claims, or how much in claims do they pay out, right? So that's the loss ratio. Over the last 36 months, the city of Cleveland has had fairly high loss ratios, meaning that for every dollar that is received by the carrier, they end up paying out over $1 in return. So trending, however, so the last 36 months, the medical loss ratio has been about 117%, meaning they're paying out $1.17 on every dollar that they get in. 24-month loss ratio is 114, and we have, as of late, the last year, we're trending better with about an 89, almost 90% loss ratio. That bodes well. We still have large claimants here at the city that have medical needs and ongoing medical needs. So the carriers are always looking at that. We received that, as I said before, the 11% increase on the medical after receiving the bids, which we did get bids from Texas Health Benefits Pool and United Healthcare. Using that and our negotiation power, we were able to bring Blue Cross Blue Shield down to flat, meaning zero, meaning everything would stay the same at the same rates. In addition, Blue Cross Blue Shield had initially wanted a 5% increase on their dental insurance as well, which bringing bids in, we were able to negotiate down to flat as well. So Blue Cross Blue Shield has your vision. In addition to the medical and the dental, they have your vision, your basic life, your voluntary life, and then your long-term disability plans. Everything this year has come out to flat. In other words, there are no changes to the plans, there are no changes to the rates. The city provides a very comprehensive benefit portfolio with including telemedicine, by the way, which is the 1-800 pick up the phone and call a doctor, which has been very well received here. So no increases across the board, including telemedicine. I would say that it is our recommendation to accept that, and we have discussed this with Scott already and his staff, to accept our recommendation to renew all lines of coverage with Blue Cross Blue Shield and Lyric at no change in rates and no changes to the plans, and then continue the telemedicine program as well. Any questions?
I would like to add one thing too, that it is in your notes in your packet, but if you remember last year, when they went out,
yes,
there was a significant increase, and so we were with Cigna. We put it out for bid last year. Those bids, because of our loss ratio, came in at about a 50% increase.
That's right.
And we were able to negotiate last year, put out the bid, and was able to get Blue Cross Blue Shield to come in. And actually saved us 6% from what we were doing the year before. So even with the loss ratio that we had last year, we were able to decrease our benefits last year. And of course, this year, Blue Cross Blue Shield came able to increase, but then ultimately settled back to a flat rate for us. So that's a significant, because it was several hundreds.
It was $600,000+. If you looked at what Cigna had initially came in with last year, that 49, almost 50%, and then what we negotiated it down to with Blue Cross being a 6% decrease, as Scott indicated, I mean, we're talking about over $500,000 for sure in savings. So great benefit portfolio here. You offer a health savings account qualified plan, which is amazing as well. Last year was the first year that we introduced that. So the employees have received that well, and I think the employees this year, assuming that you will go along with our recommendation, will receive the fact that nothing is changing very well as well.
I will say that we have talked to the employees, and they are all very happy with the current plan that we have. Very satisfied. It has been an improvement since the previous plan. So.
Okay. Any other questions? Mr. Gutierrez? Okay, sir. Appreciate your information.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we have all the information about the employee benefits. Okay. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve item 13A.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Buckley, a second by Mr. Magwater. Okay, all those in favor? Okay, the motion carries 4-0. I will make a comment afterwards on this. I think this is a very good deal on this insurance. I work a lot of places, and it's a good benefit for the city. So, moving along, item number 14. Okay, award general services contract for place branding services for community rebranding.
You'll be seeing a lot of me today. Apologies in advance. This is an exciting item for the EDC to be presenting this evening. But just some background on this, kind of the impetus for this. Really, remember we talked about in the retreat earlier this year, this summer, that the branding, the city branding and kind of reputation and kind of the public relations component has been, kind of neglected over the years. It needs some attention. So this has also been something that was highlighted in the 2009 Today study, right? The city needed to place more emphasis on the brand to assist with place management and enhancing the city's profile for not only business attraction but residential kind of residential attraction as well. So that's really the impetus for this, along with it being adopted in your strategic plan as an element towards economic development. And really, the recent impetus and necessity for this was to better leverage the EDC's funding that we allocated for investments in the Gateway Wayfinding Master Plan, Science Master Plan. So there was an element of that included looking at the branding and doing a refresh, but kind of taking all this in context, really understanding and knowing that probably a complete full rebrand, or at least don't do that exercise to understand, what the community kind of considers for Cleveland, what is the vision, and how do we tell our story. We feel like that full exercise warrants the city's attention and investment. So that's really how this item arrived in front of me today. But it has involved a very comprehensive and rigorous RFQ process. We received 7 proposals. We formed a selection committee of city staff, EDC representative with our president. Some others in the community were invited as well, and also the assistance of the Texas Association of Municipal Information Officers. Their regional representative helped us score and evaluate proposals. But we evaluated all 7. We narrowed it down to 4 finalists, and we conducted interviews with those 4 finalists. And it was a very competitive process that made our final selection somewhat challenging, but ultimately we feel like this firm, Destination by Design Planning LLC, will provide a good fit for the city, the best outcome, and the best value as well. So staff does recommend approving this general service contract with Destination by Design Planning. I'm happy to answer your questions if you have any.
Ms. Deagle, before the EDC last week, and they unanimously voted last week to recommend us to cancel the contract. Okay, do I have any discussion, questions, or review?
I make a motion that we approve and award the general service contract for place branding services for community rebranding.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Madwaters. I have a second by Mr. Buckley. All those in favor? Okay. Motion carries. Okay. 3-0. And I'll make a comment after the fact on this. The image of Cleveland. I've been serving in this community for a lot of years. And I think it'll be something that we're trying to change our image. Not to say that the image that we have now is we're proud of our city, but we got a lot of good things going on in our city. And I attended the EDC board meeting last week, and one of the gentlemen, Mr. Thompson, he had a survey that was done like in 2009, and that was one of the suggestions is to rebrand the city, and that was way back in 2009. Fast forward, now we're just getting to it. So I think that it will be a plus for Cleveland. Because our image, what other people think of us. We know who we are in Cleveland. We got good people here, outstanding, hardworking people. but it's time for a change, and we need it. So, council, thank you. Okay, we're going to move on to item number 15, award contract for grant administration for the Texas Community 2025 Government Fund Pre-Application Phase 1, Application Phase 2, and Implementation Services for Texas Community Development Grant Program 2025 through 2026, Community Development Fund, and all other activities per application guidance as administered by the Texas Department of Agriculture, and authorize city manager to execute associated documents.
Good evening. We was presented with a grant that was for water contribution as far as to our infrastructure. And right now I want to bring up our representative that's been awarded this grant. And I want to be talk about it.
And so, just with that, we did go through the RFP process for the proposed 2025-2026 Community Development Fund. Thank you, Councilman Buckley and Councilman Waters, for serving on the selection committee with us. But the evaluations were reviewed, and you can see in the packet what was received. And then also you can see the scores that were performed on that. And so ultimately the committee is recommending that we go with GrantWorks for this contract. And we do have a GrantWorks representative here. Do you have any questions for the?
Thank you. Everything that was required.
Thank you guys for looking it over. We appreciate this opportunity to work with the city of Cleveland. If you guys have any issues or anything of that nature, please give us a shout. We'd be happy to help in any nature and any possibility we can. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, is there any other questions or comments for GrantWorks?
Thank you, staff that worked on it also, read through all of it. Appreciate the extra time they had to go in. Make a motion, we approve it.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Buckley, a second by Mr. Mike Waters. All those in favor? Okay, the motion carries 4-0. Okay, item number 16, approve 2 professional service contracts for the 2019 disaster GLO drainage project.
And actually on this one, we learned on Monday that back in 22, the public management contract was actually finalized at that time for administrative services. And so we just need to finalize the contract with Strange Engineering. This is on the 2019 GLO project for drainage in our Tanglewood area of town. And so when we had our kickoff meeting with GLO for that project, it was addressed that we needed to address those 2 contracts. We found out that on Monday that we actually have the final executed agreement with public management. We just need to do the final agreement with Strange Engineering. So we just need approval from the council to approve the Strange Engineering contract. And Tony is still reviewing.
Okay, I think we have all the information on that. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion, we approve number 16, special service contracts for 2019 disaster GLO drainage project to public management Strange Engineering.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Matt Waters. Second by Mr. Buckley. Okay, all those in favor? Okay, motion carries 4-0. Item number 17, approve the following for 2019 disaster GLO drainage project. resolution affirming policies in connection with participation in federally funded community development block grant projects. Resolution adopting procurement policy in relation to federal grants. Resolution designated authorized signatories. Fair Housing Month proclamation of April as Fair Housing Month.
All right, Mayor and Council, again, this is back to the 2019 Disaster GLO Drainage Project. In our kickoff meeting that we had with GLO and Strand Engineering and Public Management, it was brought to us that we needed to have council officially approve these different resolutions and the proclamation. And so, again, this is just standard stuff that we do with all of our CDBG projects that we get the funding through. And so, you can see on there, they're in your packet, the different ones. We just need to again approve all those so we can move forward with that project.
Make a motion we approve the following for 2019 disaster GLO drainage project. Resolution affirming policies in connection with participation in federally funded community development block grants. Resolution adopting a procurement policy in relation to federal grants. Resolution to designating authorized signatories. I said that wrong. Fair Housing Month proclamation of April is Fair Housing Month.
Second. Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Buckley, a second by Mr. Ward. All those in favor? Okay, motion carries 4-0. Okay, update from Westwood on the application of the Texas Water Development Board for both the clean water and drinking water projects.
Mayor, Council, Scott, I appreciate y'all allowing us to come up here and talk to you, kind of give you an update on where we are. My name is Brian O'Neill with Westwood. I am the regional director, basically we run the state of Texas, for all public infrastructure for our company. I got a team here with me. Over here is Clint Bissett in that same area in Texas. He kind of heads up our water, wastewater services that we do within the state. Randy Zumwalt and Holly Moore are with our business development team. Randy's down here in Houston. Holly runs it statewide. And if you've been to TML, she's a past president of TML, so if you've been going a while, you might have seen her there once in a while. And Jim Roberts over here is our water wastewater expert down here in the Houston office. We did a lot of work on this, along with Chris Child, who couldn't be here today, on helping prepare this, working with Roger especially on getting the projects lined out. So I want to talk about, if y'all recall, back in January of this year, you had me and Chris Child up here talking, and Jim was here as well, about the idea of going after some funding from the Texas Water Development Board for water and sewer work in the city of Cleveland. Well, y'all hired us there at the end of January, and we submitted. It was due the very end, like midnight, March 1st. And I want to talk about where that is in the process that happens there. What you do at that point in time is you submit an abridged application. And that abridged application is just a little bitty thing. And it kind of says, hey, these are kind of the projects we want and everything, and what the city's looking to do with the funding. You have a clean water SRF, think of that as sewer, and drinking water, obviously drinking water. We submitted on both of them. And we submitted those, and it took them a while, them being the Water Development Board, it took them quite a while to score these things out. And as it came out, you see it, okay, back up one. The other direction. There we go. They submitted these back there in March. So you did really good on the clean water, the sewer one. You scored number 9 out of 181 in the state. That scored in the funding. The way the board does this is they look at, we have this much money, and they rank the projects, and they start checking off projects till they run out of money. So that's effectively how it works. Now on the water, the drinking water side, you scored number 99 out of 298, not in the money. And then we started getting calls. And these calls revolved around the parts of the project that related to water conservation. So if any of y'all remember, back in 2023 in the state legislature, they had a $33 billion surplus. One of the things they did in that legislative session was they took $1 billion and they created the Texas Water Fund, focused on water conservation. Well, they asked all these questions, we provided that supplemental information, and y'all scored number 8 out of 40 in the money on that one. And that is, this is a really, I hope y'all are as excited. I think this is going to do a lot for the city over time. Next slide. So I'm going to talk about each one of them and kind of what they are and how we approached it and what your process is going forward. So on each one of these, typically with the Water Development Board, some of the money right now, and y'all are in the sweet spot because what's happening is that the IIJA, the federal money, has been pushed down through the Water Development Board. The IIJA has a 50% loan forgiveness component to it. The way Texas is implementing that is for disadvantaged communities and rural communities, they're pushing that number up and for other communities down. So some communities are getting 10%, some are getting up to 70% loan forgiveness. So this $14,615,000 is what we submitted on both of these. The maximum loan forgiveness is $10 million. So if you do the math, we just basically picked the number, do as much as we could with the maximum amount of free money should we qualify for it. We qualify for it. It's fantastic. What I want to tell you on this is when you look at it, the funding, this is the Water Development Board, the SRF is a state revolving fund. It's a low interest loan program. So it's not a bond. You get to borrow the money at half the state's rate. And so it's a very low interest rate. And with the loan forgiveness in there of 14.6, 10 million is forgiven, you're only borrowing on the 4.6. And at the cut rate, just to give you some math on the background, if you do a 20-year note on that, if it closes, your debt service is about $293,000 a year to get this $14.6 million. It is a really good deal. That's with the maximum rate as of when we run at the beginning of this month, because obviously it follows the bond market. There is also an additional deduction on the rate, which we're not sure if that has, Cleveland's received that yet. So we gave you, this is where the maximum is. For rural designated cities, that rate can actually come down. So there is a potential for these numbers to get a little bit better. So the next slide, please. So the drinking water SRF on the next one. The drinking water went back in that $1 billion they created, like I said, the Texas Water Fund. This one had some nuance to it that we didn't see coming because that was the first time that it had been out, so it hadn't been implemented. That's where this one came in, and the Texas Water Fund had a 90% loan forgiveness potential on it. After the rescoring, y'all qualified for that. The same $14.615 million had a 90% loan forgiveness. So on that one, you're looking at low interest loans to the tune of $1.46 million, while getting $14.6 million total to you, with the balance obviously being loan forgiveness, that 90%. It's just fantastic. We didn't even see that coming because it hadn't been implemented before. We were hoping to get 70 and 70 if we did the best we could do. Congratulations. It turned out quite a bit better. Your debt service on that, given the maximum rate, just like I explained, your debt service would be a little under $95,000 a year on a 20-year debt service to get that nearly $15 million. So it's an insanely good deal. And we're very happy to be able to come here and talk to you about it. So I want to talk about what this is going to do for the city. So I want to talk about the water projects first. And one thing, I was talking to Roger about this. When we go after these, there's some projects that we presented to the board, and I know that Jim and Roger did a lot of work going through what does the city really need. There's some projects that are specific. For example, in the clean water is eliminating your West treatment plant and pumping to the east, I believe it is, and putting in a lift station. And that consolidation of those plants is one of the things that help you score. So that has to happen. But then we are kind of vague on a lot of it. We're going to do this many feet of pipe, these type projects. So there is some flexibility as we get into the implementation and the use of the funds. So there is some, if Roger comes up and says, hey, no, this is really a higher priority, as long as it fits the general program parameters, there's ways you can work around that. You just got to communicate effectively with the Water Development Board while you're doing it. So looking at this, the new lift station to consolidate your plants, and about 20,000 linear feet of force main. It's, an asset management plan, and this is gonna happen for both water and sewer. When I say asset management, I mean, I know y'all may have done water modeling for your water and sewer system to plan for future growth. That is a required component of this program. So you're gonna have an updated master plan, asset management plan for your water and sewer system. And then you got a lot of sewer lines in town mostly. If they're older, they're gonna be clay tile, and clay tile does not survive real well over time. So we had about 67,000 linear feet of replacement of sewer lines within the city. That is not all, but it is a very sizable percentage of your sewer system right now that you're going to be able to replace as a part of this project. Next slide. Okay, so the wastewater projects, you can see them on here, barely, but what you'll see on here, you got the lift station, and I don't know if you got this in your packet where you can see a little clearer, but it's basically a graphical representation of your city on some of the things that are in there. Can't hardly see the numbers on there, so I'm not going to bother reading them out. A lot of this, the 67,000 linear feet that we had on there, is replacing. You got old 6 and 8 inch or smaller than 8 inch lines that those get to go away. I think Roger will be happy to hear, I'm guessing, some I&I issues and things like that will be greatly improved with this. The biggest one is to create that lift station, to take out that plant that needs a lot of work, as I understand, and move it down there to the west plant. So I want to transition to drinking water. So the basis for the selection on drinking water is water conservation. Water conservation, from what y'all need to think of it, is every time an old cast iron pipe breaks, it's leaking water. If you fix that pipe, you have done water conservation. So that is a bulk of what scores you for water conservation on this. And y'all have a lot of cast iron pipe, but there is going to be, in addition to those, there will be a lot of advantages to the city as we go through this, because you have a lot of cast iron pipe that can break. And obviously, we had I know between Chaw and Jim and Roger, they went through and getting loss reports and things like that. But you also have a lot of cast iron pipe that's about yay big around. We don't build this size pipe with the program. It's 6 and 8 inch and above. It's all PVC. So as you go through and replace these old pipes, you're going to replace them with pipes that, one, are not going to break, and two, are going to be of a diameter that is more sufficient for fire suppression and better supply to your citizens throughout the city. So it's not just to fix the broken pipes, but it is bring your system up in quite a bit from a level of service perspective. And
that's a good point, just to highlight that. So with us replacing, we do have 1.5 inch, 2 inch, 4 inch water lines throughout the city, and cannot have fire hydrants on those water lines. With this, going to a minimum of 6 inch, we have locations in the city that does not have fire hydrants that will be required to have fire hydrants with this upgrade, and will now have fire protection that we've not had in the past. So that is significant. Not only are we getting the water pressure and the capacity that we need for growth and take care of our current residents, we're also getting fire protection and fire safety to areas of our town that have never been able to have before because of our pipes, side pipes in the past. So
as a part of this one, like I said, the basis is the water conservation. But the way these work is you can add some other projects in there. You just need to keep the critical mass going the direction it needs to go for the scoring, which we did. But we had an account over 142,000 linear feet of water lines under 6 inch, basically all of which is going to be cast iron. Those will all be replaced as a part of this program. That was part of what we put in there. There was also connecting water plant 4 to the distribution system by an existing water line along Campbell, a 12 inch water line there. And then a few other water lines, which we're a few slides up. You go to the one that says water projects, has a map. There you go. There's a few other water lines that we put in there that are going to help not only with your water conservation, but also with some of the growth that y'all are experiencing, because we can go in and Okay, so it's a 6-inch, and we go back and put a 12-inch, which might serve that area better for what y'all have coming in the future. So looking at some of those things, but once again, this was written in a broad enough sense that we can move some of these things around a little bit within the parameters of the program. So we're doing similar type work. Yeah, let's see. Like I said, there's another couple things. I know there's one of the plants where you need to get your sulfates down on that, your hydrogen sulfate down on that. That was one of the projects in there, and a few other things like that. But this is really going to focus, like I said, on leaky pipes and then making sure your supply gets to town. So if you can go on to the last slide. What I want to talk about now is that's pretty much a summary of what the program is from the sewer side and the water side. I will tell you a little bit about your process going forward on this. And I know there's a few agenda items coming up that relate to this. As a result of this, you're required by law, you're going to be taking state money to go through an RFQ process, obviously for engineering and doing these things. So that is a requirement of law. Without that, any services you have for engineers are not a part of your, I guess when you aggregate 20% of your local contribution. So obviously that's something you want to do. We have to do a full application. Like I said, there was an abridged application, which is, that thick, and now there's a full application that's that thick. And it is an undertaking. Pam is going to get have a lot of fun with that, because there's a lot of financials and stuff that go with that. That gets submitted to the state. The thing is, once your abridged application and they say you are scored, you are selected, we want you to fill together your full application, you are selected. It's congratulations, you've got the money. Now you have to do this stack of paperwork in order to close the loans and everything. That'll probably get done, say, Q1 of 2025, so February, March timeframe. And you go through closing, and then you're talking about getting out and getting into design, getting into doing the asset management plan and the modeling your systems and things like that. So hopefully a year from now, you're getting close to turning some dirt and starting to fix some stuff out here. And like I said, I'm excited. It's not often I get to walk to a city like this and do something that really does help change the community. Like I design a road or a water line or something like that here and there as an engineering firm, but doing something like this that really helps the community is, these are the rare ones we get to work on as engineers. So I appreciate y'all allowing us to help you out so far on this. And with that, any questions y'all may have, I'll be happy to answer.
On replacing everything and over around the tariff roads, do we have a plan for that? I know it's a little ways out, but I know it's going to get tore up.
You're right, it's going to get tore up. One of the things that we would do as a part of the asset management plan is look at a phasing plan. Now, there is a limit. It's like 6 foot wide pavement patch is what this program will pay for. Now, if we go out there and we decide we're going to do the town water and sewer in pieces, like we're going to do zones. You do the water, you do the sewer. That's 12 foot of your road right there, right? Now it might be, we could look at mill and overlay and things like that, or just ways that we could try to stretch it so that you get a bulk of it done. There are going to be places most likely that are just a patch. But if we can be smart with how we're laying things out, we can maximize the opportunity to use as much of this funding for that as a part of the pavement patch as we possibly can. So if y'all decide we want to pave it full width, we minimize that cost.
Thank you.
Any other comments, questions? Okay.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. A lot of great news. We don't have to go. No, this is just a presentation. I got another comment on this. This will be great. Hopefully, something we desperately need. I cry all the time about the 70-year-old infrastructure. So I guess that's divine intervention that shine down on Cleveland, and we will accept it. Gladly. Thank you, Westwood.
Yes, thank you very much for everything you did for getting us to this point. Thank you. This is huge.
Okay. Man, good news, isn't it?
Take time for it.
Make me go out there and do a car.
Go on then.
We had cameras.
Go on and do it.
That's just my mind thinking. Body don't agree.
Amen on that.
Okay, item number 19, authorize RFQ for professional, administrative, and engineering services for the water and wastewater system improvements related to the Clean Water State Revolving Fund and the Texas Water Fund / Rural Assistance Fund. Okay.
Mayor and Council, this is the next step. So now that you've heard from Westwood that we have been able to receive the funds and have been selected to move to the next step, now we need to go back out for an RFQ to be able to contract with professional administrative and engineering services for these projects. And this will, the engineering and administrative group will work together to help finalize that application that will be submitted. And of course, once that is approved by the Texas Water Development Board, then we go into the full design and construction packages and so forth. So this is authorizing that RFQ to go out so we can get started.
Make a motion that we authorize RFQ for professional, administrative, and engineering services for the water and wastewater system improvements related to the Clean Water State Revolving Fund and the Texas Water Fund Rural Assistance Fund.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. McWaters, a second by Mr. Buckley. All those in favor? Okay, the motion carries 4-0. Now we need 2 council members to the RFP.
Come on, Julius.
Professional Administration and Engineering Services Selection Committee.
So as we've done in the past for RFPs and RFQs, we will have a selection committee that will review all of the applications or all the qualifications that get submitted to us. And so staff will be working with you, but we do need 2 council members to go to work with us to review those qualifications and make a recommendation to council for awarding those professional services. So.
I think I've already been volunteered for one. So. Voluntold. Yeah, I was voluntold.
Okay, we got Mr. Buckley and Brett. And hey, look, man, it's wow. It's not real. It's happening.
You're welcome.
Okay. That makes Mr. Buckley and Mr. McWaters on that selection committee. Okay, number 21. Text amendment to the following sections of the City of Cleveland Code of Ordinances, amending Chapter 126 zoning, Article 2, Administration, Division 2, Zoning Board of Adjustment, to add Section 126 through 35, special exceptions, and amending Chapter 126 zoning, Article 6, parking regulations, Section 126 through 236, not applicable in central business district.
Thank you, Mayor and Council, Emilio Lombardo, Director of Youth Development. I can recap again kind of the background on this. If you'd like, if there are any questions that kind of stand out. Again, recapping very quickly. This is creating a special process for the Board of Adjustment to consider on a case-by-case basis if it's appropriate or not to grant deviations from otherwise applicable development regulations that aren't setbacks or minimum lot size, lot width, things like that. That's more appropriate for a variance. This is for everything that's not covered by a variance. And then specifically with this text amendment, it would also outline this process of deviations from the parking requirements of the zoning ordinance. So I just want to kind of go through some tests, kind of litmus tests for what is appropriate when considering questions of amending zoning text or rezoning property. But first of all, land use compatibility or impact to neighboring properties. So this text amendment provides, again, like I was saying, a public process to determine the appropriateness for granting a special exception, again, based on a case-by-case basis when you consider the context and compatibility of the surrounding area. It also provides an opportunity for the Board of Adjustments to make findings in terms of if there's any concerns or issues with the promotion of health, safety, and general welfare on a case-by-case basis. Even further with that, it would provide an outlet for them to assess any conditions to otherwise address any concerns of the health, safety, or general welfare as it relates to that property and the surrounding area. And kind of the last test is that change conditions are present. I mean, a couple decades, turnover at the city administration and how these rules have been applied and enforced. So definitely some inconsistencies in the city. So I think conditions are present, change conditions are present. So all of that to say that staff has crafted this. We obviously recommend approval, and this would allow us to start addressing some of these case-by-case kind of requests for deviations. Happy to answer any questions that y'all may have specifically.
The neighboring business behind the redevelopment, we did not want to spot zone which is smart. Have they made any comments or feedback as far as the business that's behind this proposed redevelopment? Specific law?
So this is just a text amendment for item 21. That's item 22.
Oh, okay.
So, but I can address that. I'll get that.
Make a motion to approve item 21.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Buckley, a second by Mr. Madwaters. Okay, all those in favor? Okay, motion carries 3-0. Okay, item number 22. 4-0. Oh, I'm sorry, we got one missing. 4-0. Correction. Okay, item number 22, rezoning approximately 1.3992 acres, legally described as lots 1 through 12, block 3, People's Second Edition, abstract A-138, J. Booth Survey, Cleveland, Texas, listed as following: LCAD property ID numbers 92629-92630, 92631, 92632, 93633, 13606, from general commercial to general commercial with the central business district overlay.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Again, this item is concerning a rezoning of that the city is serving as an applicant on. Not typical, certainly something that other cities do. It's usually reserved for cases where it's appropriate to really assess and rezone that area, and not just one parcel in specific, because and in this case, that's being done because what this is going to accomplish is probably going to be needed for those subject properties anyway. You can get a kind of an idea of the extent of this rezoning in this map, and you'll have the map in your packets as well. But again, the subject properties are those properties that the mayor described, but south of West Houston Street, west of South Washington Street, north of West Hanson Street, and east of South Mason Street. That is block 3 of the People's Edition. This all came about because one of the properties, 122 South Washington, is proposing some redevelopment. They would need some deviations from the ordinance under general commercial. It just so happens that the Central Business District zoning overlay provides for those deviations just kind of by right if you were zoned Central Business District. And so, looking in the context of this, you can see this pink striped area to the east of Washington Avenue is the Central Business District. So it is compatible, it is adjacent. It's going to complement the Central Business District in terms of proximity. So that's really the lens and the perspective that staff has approached this area rezoning for that block. The property owner of 122 South Washington did provide a letter of support for the rezoning. We haven't, at the time of this meeting, obviously haven't heard from any of the other surrounding property owners I should say from the beginning that with, the ordinance outlines our process for rezonings and noticing, but the state law also does that as well. So we provide notice to properties within 200 feet. So it's mailed to the mailing address on file with the Princeton District. And so they receive a map of the area and a description of the rezoning request. We did have some come to the P&Z meeting last week. They were just confused really why they received the notice. They were just curious to know the respective property, but we were able to address those questions and concerns as it did not affect their property. So far, no opposition, just support for this reason. So I've been answering any questions.
I don't have a question. I wanted to make note that in the official resolution on 22, actually the text of the resolution refers to the city of Baytown, Texas twice instead of Cleveland, Texas. And I don't know if that needs to be corrected before passing the resolution.
We will address that.
This puts less regulations on for them to be able to have their parking in dumpsters, correct?
It does. It would remove those requirements for setbacks, so that would allow, kind of placement of a dumpster or some other type of improvement where otherwise you wouldn't be able to because of those setbacks. It also allows you to make on-street parking improvements. So otherwise, a land use would have to provide for off-street parking for that use. And the central business district, again, going back to the compact nature of downtowns, would utilize on-street parking. It wouldn't require off-street parking. You can do off-street parking in the central business district, that's not required. And then in our ordinance, in the parking section of the zoning code, on-street parking isn't allowed at all except within the central business district. That kind of links back to the text amendment just before this. That's some of the background context of what's going on here as well. So yes, to answer your question more succinctly, it removes some red tape and some requirements.
Make a motion, we approve item 22 with correction.
Thank you.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Buckley, second by Mr. Ward. All those in favor? Okay, motion carries 4-0. Item number 23, parenting correction -2025, facility use waiver. Dr. Hodge.
Good afternoon, Council, Mayor. I have here with me Dr. Hodge, who is the owner of Parenting Connections. Just to give you kind of a background of Parenting Connections, Parenting Connections is an education program that focuses on enhancing parenting practices and behaviors such as developing and practicing positive discipline techniques. And not only do they enhance parenting, but they also are involved with the youth, which focuses really just on enhancing the whole family as a whole. Looking at their website and their page, it said, if you don't take the time to raise your children, the world will. And so that really stuck out to me because we really don't have a lot of youth that are getting involved. And so I spoke with Dr. Hodge here, who is looking to provide, through her organization, a community film fest for 2025. This is slated for March of 2025, but in order for her to start planning and different things like that, we wanted to get it on the agenda now because, as we know, time goes by so fast. But I'm just going to give Dr. Hodge just a little bit to talk about it, and then I'll talk about the request.
Good evening, City of Cleveland Board, Mayor, City Manager. Those of you that know me know that I've been well vested in Cleveland. A few years back, I did a teen leadership conference here. About 200 kids showed up, or there was 200 people there, and one young man, of course, was from Cleveland High School. We had Baytown show up. We had a limo come in that brought in a group of kids from out of town. one of our kids was featured on the news, and he had taken the information from the Team Leadership Conference and created his whole business. And so the speakers there, we had a couple of millionaires that were teaching kids how to open up businesses and everything. Kendra, y'all know Kendra, that just graduated. And so Kendra, every time after he would see me in the hall, I do work for Cleveland, but please know when I usually come to you, I'm coming as a representative for Parenting Connection, not Cleveland ISD. Cleveland ISD has been very good to me, but those are two separate entities. I do things like this, stay involved in communities and with parents and with kids. It's my life and I'm a slave to it. But Kendra was featured on the news, talked about the businesses he opened, and every time I saw him in the hallway, he said, Dr. Hodge, when are we going to do another team leadership? But he never had told me that he started a business. And so once I found that out, I contacted one of the speakers, and I think they hooked up, so now he has a millionaire friend, for it. But anyway, so he kept asking me, when are we going to do this? When are we going to do something else? But in the meantime, I was busy getting promotions in Cleveland. And also during that time, I had went in to do an interview on a radio station about one of my books, and I walked out and the radio show manager asked me if I wanted my own show. And so since 2020, I've stayed very busy. And so I had my own radio show. I did that for a couple of years, kept getting promotions in Cleveland, so I had to set that aside. It opened up TV, so I was on TV for a while. Matter of fact, I'm hoping that y'all know about do y'all have any information about Cleveland getting its own TV station? That's a conversation. Okay. So anyway, I've been on TV, and so recently I just purchased a streaming channel called For Teens by Teens. I have my I do a Parenting Connection show. I've been on TV. I have a documentary that is out there on streaming. You can search if you have a smart TV, and you can see that documentary that I produced, and I'm getting ready to work on a couple more projects in my spare time. But anyway, for this teen conference, I know there's a lot of talented kids out there, and so I purchased this channel with the idea of kids, let's make some contents that we can actually watch, because I don't know about you, when I sit down and try to watch TV with my kids, I think I'm watching something safe, and then I'm not. And then it's awkward for the whole family. And, unfortunately our kids are exposed to a lot that they shouldn't be exposed to. So I wanted to create a safe channel. But I want the kids to create the channel. So basically how it works when you license a show or something like that. So with my documentary, Amazon has licensed it, Tubi, which is amazing. That is for it to be on there. It is on a couple of other and Rebuild amazing channels. And so I did this for them to create. And so anytime I would do a TV show, for every TV show that I submitted to this TV station in Houston, I would have to turn in a project form for that, and it's just a release for that each and every show. So the students would do the same thing. The schools that I would reach out to, and this wouldn't just be for Cleveland. I love Cleveland. I could have did this in Conroe, but I love Cleveland, and I've been here, as an employee for 9, going on 10 years, and so I've watched it from 3,000 students to 12,000 and growing students. I've been a part of that change. So the kids would license, and they would do, we would have to submit it through film, there is a film festival hub, and so I really needed enough time to be able to promote it. So the channel would be free for everybody to watch, and the kids will win based on viewership, you know, them getting their schools to watch their show. And the analytics of the way I have it set up would show who's watching, how much they're watching, and hopefully we'll be able to get likes and stuff like that as it's created. So the station, the streaming channel is live already, and it's 14 by teens. They would sign a licensing agreement, but also go through Film Freeway. That's what the name of the hub is, and I will be working with them because they help promote film festivals if you agree. And but then it'll be open to other people that want somewhere to be able to host a decent show. You know, it'll have to be quality, and then I think some of it might be cheesy or whatever, but it'll be fun for the kids. But I think we'll get some quality programming as well. And hopefully by the time, if I can find sponsors and get commercials, my goal is to get commercials on there to help keep that, because there is a large cost associated with me having my own streaming channel and being able to host the material. My idea for that is just to get sponsors that want to put commercials on the streaming channel, and then they'll be able to do that. That way we'll be able to give awards to kids, and if we can promote it correctly, we'll be able to actually give scholarships. And so that's always been one of my big hearts with Parenting and Connections, and we've done that before, but I think that would be great for kids as well. But clean content of all kinds, that's kind of the idea, and I think Cleveland will be a great place to host something like that. Any questions?
So she really explained it all. So pretty much, again, the Parenting Connections is supporting the 4 Teens by Teens, which is going to be a film festival that they're wanting to bring. My thought with this is that, you know, this grow into something that could actually be an annual film festival for Cleveland, and growing it from there. You know, you always have to start somewhere. And so the recommendation is that they are wanting to utilize our facility. They're at the Civic Center, utilizing the ballroom, conference room, and then also having outside vendors as well come in, as far as food trucks, vendors that are selling different things, to make it an actual festival for the community. So with the, I guess, financial requesting of it, the full ballroom, including the full conference room, totals $1,250, so that's $1,250. But again, it would just be up to the council as far as approval. But I definitely think that getting the youth involved, definitely something that they like. And a lot of kids have their YouTube channels, have their Facebook Lives and TikToks and things like that. So I definitely know it's something that kids are doing and blogging about. You even have whole families that are doing them now. So I definitely think this is a great opportunity for us as well. And considering too the connections that Ms. Hodge has with the Tubi and the Roku, and I think you said it's also on Apple TV?
Yes, the
And
channel
Apple
is,
TV.
that I didn't even say that. The channel is on Amazon, Roku, Apple, Fire, yes, and Fire TV. So like I said, it's live, and right now there's only me, and people don't want to just see me. And so I need more content. And so I'm hoping that this will, I think, and as you can see, there's really no money making it for me. I invested. Anything I do for the communities, I think my dream is to see something take off that's bigger than me, and I want to be a part of that. I would like to say that I founded that, and I created it, And I would love to have something. I've done a huge citywide single parent picnics and stuff, and people would come. You know, they never got real big, but there was always a few hundred people and everything, and it is okay. And, you know, not always burden that cost. And so it's not about that. Now I am, you know, in the time frame of this, I'm a little nervous because of the flooding and everything that happened. It backed all this up, and I mean, promotion is absolutely necessary for it to be effective. And me being able to get in contact with the school districts and everything. So a date, if approved, a date would be very valuable to me right now, so I can begin the process.
So I've got a question. So is there an opportunity for the city to be listed as a sponsor as part of the contribution of providing the space for this
Absolutely.
event?
So we can do a commercial. I can film it, edit it, and we can go ahead and pop it on one of my videos right now. So the service has been waiting for me to come up with videos. I mean, commercials and stuff like that. And I just, you know, I work a full-time job and I can't beat the streets. And so what I'm going to do is probably talk to the not the city council, what is the chamber soon, to see if anybody wants to get involved. Also, if you approve, I'd like to be able to talk to like all the restaurants to where they're all playing 4 teams, 5 teams that day, just letting it roll, however, you know, with the content. So if the kids and families or schools are out eating in the community, that channel's rolling. And so, I got ideas.
And also too, just to kind of backdoor with the leadership conference that we had for the teams, we as the city were also advertised on all of her advertising that she put out as well. So that was also part of that.
Well, I wasn't going to comment on this, but I met Dr. Hodge probably about 5 years ago, 6 years ago. I started working part-time at the Discipline Alternative Campus, Douglas Campus. And that's a program where it's the worst kids, you know, in the behavior problems, all kind of different problems, you name it, you know, those are the kids. And I met Dr. Hodge then, and I was able to sit in a couple of her classes. And I learned so much from her. She could get the worst of the worst kids to act right. And nobody else could do it. You know, I'm 260 pounds. They don't listen to me, but they listen to Dr. Hodge. And she has a way. How she does it, I don't know.
It's all that extra prayer in the morning.
And I've been a fan. She has put on some programs here in the city in the past, and they went very well. I keep up with her on her station that she has, and I just think the school district is blessed to have her. And so it's up to you guys, but I think it'll be a good it's a win-win for us.
That's all I know from vendors. Are they going to have a payment like you do for the fall festival, or how's that going to work?
If there's going to be food trucks, they will have to have their permit. Yes. We only do that for city-sponsored events where we would put food.
Yeah, this should be something that if Cleveland could benefit a little bit, and like the vendors from Cleveland can benefit a little bit, this would be a time to do that. But it's about that as well. It's about people. It's also about me getting teachers out here to see. Like I said, I'm well vested in the district, and since I met Mr. Mayor, I think I've had 4 different promotions. And so I'm well vested, and I'm always, you know, come see, you know, getting teachers possibly to move out here. And so that's the connection, is reaching out to schools as well it's kind of a two-sided, but, so Cleveland, try to, let the vendors, come out, make their money and, pay their fees like they have to.
And one of the things that Dr. Hodge always says is sometimes she's like, greatness is created. And so I really feel like, that stands out. Because if we do not create it, and if we're not behind it, then we kind of just fall to the wayside. So I definitely think, she always says, that the, greatness is created. So we definitely need to target our youth. I definitely think that's our future. So.
Okay.
I think this is very worthwhile. I'd like to make a motion that we waive the $1,250 to put on this festival.
Okay. I have a motion by Mr. McElwise. I have a second by Ms. Hall. All those in favor? Okay, motion carries 4-0. Thank you, Dr. Hodge. Thank you.
Thank you.
You got it. Okay. Where are we at? 24. Accept portions of Pinewood Trail Development, A, water plant, B, water well, C, wastewater treatment plant, D, section 2, roads, sidewalks, and utility infrastructure.
So we finally got approval to accept the walkthroughs for all of these facilities. Since I've been here, I've never seen the well actually ran, and the last couple of weeks, it did actually perform its function. We did do a walkthrough of section 2. As you know, previous, back in 2022, we did a walkthrough of section 1. So we did a walkthrough and then found the faults and did a final walkthrough. And they made the necessary corrections that they needed to do. The treatment facility, y'all remember when that council had approved, they had no power, and they approved to use the generator for the time being. Y'all made that decision too. So that system is up and running, as you know, and it is functioning properly. There are more phases of that area that needs to be added. Once the developers build more houses, there's going to be more steps on that list, and the wastewater plant to extend the capacity to incorporate the new houses that are being developed. So what I'm asking is to accept this 1-year agreement. Past 1 year. It's already been 1 year, so it's actually accepted under the city insurance agreement.
So Roger, you, Public Works,
Yeah.
and
Myself, the engineer,
have all walked through and approved
and
all
Sean,
these facilities.
and the fire chief, after they walk through literally sidewalks, storm drains, we checked everything, because in that reality, we would have to pay for this after the fact. So we did do a walkthrough physically and check everything out, make sure everything was up to snuff. The first walkthrough we did, they had some deficiencies that they had to take care of. So we did do a final walkthrough on the 15th or the 16th of this month. So everything is up and running like it's supposed to. So I'm just asking to accept that so we can process this.
Make a motion to accept item 24A.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Buckley, a second by Mr. McElwain. All those in favor? Okay, motion carries 4-0. Item number 25, discuss airport Quonset hut queue hanger. Mr. Reeves.
Council, Mayor, John Williams, President of the Airport Board.
what this is about, let me give you a little bit of history. The Quonset hut is the original hangar at the airport. It's the big half-moon shaped hangar that you see from 787, the very first one when you walk in. I think it was built sometime in the 1950s. Beginning of this year, I think it was December or January, Blau Engineering and myself and Scott, I think Roger, and a couple others went out and looked at this hangar, knowing that the city was going to take it over in January, the airport over in January. We went and looked at this hangar because we had some concerns of its safety at that time. We knew it had needed some repairs after some engineers looked at it. Then moved forward to the hurricane, and that kind of did it in. We had a lot more damage to it. Had engineers come out and look at it. The city yellow tagged it on July 22nd or July 17th. We met with, on the 22nd, we met with the current tenant, spoke with him. He knew it had been yellow tagged. He had agreed to move out, and he said that he needed 60 days. We gave him 60 days on it. So from there, the city came to the airport board with a proposal to do an RFP on it, just to see what we would get if we sent out an RFP. And essentially, to cut everything short, that's what we're wanting. It went to the airport board, it approved, the airport board approved the suggestion to an RFP for the Quonset hut. What we're wanting to do is basically for city council to approve the RFP, and let's see what we get before we go any further, see what kind of proposals we get on it. Any questions?
Okay. Make a motion, we approve the, going after the RFP for the Quonset hut.
Okay. I have a motion by Mr. Matt Waters, a second by Mr. Ward. All those in favor? Okay, motion carries 4-0. Item number 26, add purchase of radio tower for automated meter reader system from Amoresco through TIPS Purchasing Cooperative.
Council members of the board. So we have planned on surveying the area. We have a couple of areas in the area that would be able to pick up more transmit or radio signal to get Pinewood trails. So off of 105, TxDOT have a tower over there also that we were trying to get, instead of purchasing a new tower or a new mono pole, we were trying to see if they would give us access or some type of agreement of the sort. So $10,000 is a lot of money a month or something like that would be. So what we did, we come up with an agreement as far as to buy our own monopole antenna, so the signal could reach from these two antennas. We have original one at 907 Denison. That's a number 2 water plant on the elevated tower. So that signal couldn't reach Pinewood Trail. So we had to put a secondary one that would be able to reach the capabilities of those meters over there in that subdivision. Therefore, this pole, we had two options: either put it at the treatment plant, water treatment plant, or at the well up for 105. And we were trying to use that tower so we had to come up a cost. But the cost would have surpassed what we would have bought on our own. And I'm just coming to you saying, would you approve this? Because in the long run, we would be paying less than rental fee. $10,000 for rental for a month versus buying something on our own. It would be a cheaper price for us in the long run. And then we could add other city frequencies on that antenna also to make it reach Pinewood Trail, like for police, fire, and different things. But yeah, we want to come to you and the tower is $125,000 for that standalone tower, 120 feet, and it would reach the distance. The meters would be able to read throughout with no issues. And I just want to come to you with that proposal. Now, this fund, what this antenna is coming from, we have a line item that rolls over. It's a meter program. Before we had already started, that line item, that would come from that line item, so it would not affect the cost of the original agreement that we had with America. Yes, yeah. So I'm just coming to you with that and see, would you approve that line item?
One other thing on there as well, when we approached TxDOT to use it, they did say that if we got permission, it was gonna be $10,000 a month.
Right, a
But
month.
They would not guarantee that they would even give us permission to use the tower, and that's when we started looking at what other options we had at that point, and then Resco brought this proposal to us, that we would just put our home up at our well site there at 105, and it would be, obviously,
It'd be more feasible for us.
$10,000 a month. It would take long to get to the cost of this tower.
At the water plant, at the water well.
And being our own tower, we could use it for other
For our own
purposes.
purposes.
So one of the issues that we have
Will
is
the tower have enough capacity to maybe offer rental services
Correct.
to others?
Yes, correct, also, yes.
So it doesn't add time to our contract that we already have. Can we get an update on what that's looking like for them implementing all the water meters?
So they have been going around getting all the, they have been ordering the meters and so forth. They have been going around looking at different meters and getting to see what pipe on the residential side and locating all the meters, GPSing and everything of that nature that would do. So when they do get the meters, there'd be no problem for them to install that. They did drop a Connex at Public Works today. They're gonna store all the equipment, meters, boxes, everything. So it'll be a smooth transition process. Yeah, exactly, but the lead on top are tested. So they are working on that before, I think I wanna say, it's coming up soon, but October, November, something like that. They're testing all the residential side as far as what type of pipe is going to the residential from the meter to the house. So that could be incorporated in the change out program.
Make a motion to approve item 26.
I'll second.
Okay. I have a motion by Mr. Buckley, a second by Mr. Mike Waters. All those in favor? Okay. Motion carries 4-0. Okay. Okay. Item number 27, appointment for the following boards and commissions. A, Economic Development Corporation.
Mayor, Councilor, at this time, everyone know what walking the board, we're talking about the EDC board at this time. And at this time, I'm gonna ask Rachel Hall if she would resign from the EDC at this time. I'll give her a chance to make a statement. If she would resign from the EDC.
No, sir, I will not resign, but I will be happy to address anything when it's time to do the discussion after it's explained why I'm being asked to resign.
Okay. Then I make a motion that we remove Rachel Hall from the EDC board at this time.
Second.
Okay. Have a motion by Mr. Ward, and a second by Mr. Buckner. Okay. All those in favor?
It's time for discussion, correct, sir?
Sure. Go ahead.
Okay, before the vote?
Okay.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that, Mr. Mayor. Excuse me. Okay, so I am not surprised to see this on the agenda item, though also we didn't have any applicants as far as a replacement, considering I received the phone call from a council member upset about an opinion I had placed to get feedback from the community online. And it was based on something that I had all previously shared with city management, and that I didn't see communicated to the board. In that conversation, the council member did not like that I voiced the opinion without talking to someone on the board, and I respected his willingness to want to call in to tell me, or him to say that he thought that I should take it down. However, having an opinion and asking for feedback was something that, as a representative of the government, is something I should do. As well, it was something that came out of training, and something that, again, I had the courtesy of over a week before emailing to the city for how they want to communicate out. I made the mention that if I had called anybody to talk about it and they turned around and talked to somebody else, we became a walking quorum, which would be illegal. And so I choose not to talk to council members, but I do communicate with city management, and I did that in a very lengthy email explaining the process. In that response email that I received from the city manager, which, by the way, the post intended to explain that at a TML training that I just recently attended within the last month, that there is an option to dissolve the EDCs, because there are other options that might be more fit for a budget for a city, especially a city who are facing a budget shortfall. So when I emailed two different options, the one that we were told at that TML training was, first, voters would be given the power to choose to dissolve or to not dissolve the EDC, at which point, if they decided to dissolve, it could then be put on the same ballot as a joint ballot initiative, which had changed to be more streamlined through the state, that it could be redistributed back to the general fund, which would release that special pot of money that we can't touch for anything other than type B projects to the general fund to be used as needed. I did not suggest that economic development should slow down in the city. I actually suggested that Emilio, who has been tasked with that as a full-time job, would continue in that job for in trying to get economic development to the city, but releasing the volunteer board and knowing that if we explained it to the community that their tax would not go up on what they're paying, it would just get rid of the special pot. The 0.25% of the sales tax that goes directly to EDC that can't be touched by anything other than EDC would potentially, if they chose, go back to the general fund. It is valued this year in this budget at $833,000. We were just holding a special forum to ask the community for ideas on how we can make up a budget shortfall to protect our public safety. And if I have to choose between a volunteer board and public safety, I will always put our public safety first. If I have to choose between a $100,000 study on a logo and a branding image, or saying that if you brand yourself as one of the safest cities in America or in the state, in the area, by putting your money behind public safety, that is our duty to our residents and our businesses, is to make sure that when they call 911, someone is staffed and on duty to answer in a timely manner, to make sure businesses who catch fire don't have a total loss because we have a fully staffed fire department. I will go on to say that I've had the experience of two different things, and I don't know if anyone on this board has done the same, where I've had the privilege and opportunity to ride with our public safety officers. I've been on ride-alongs with our police department. I will say that it was after midnight because I believe that you should go when you see the city authentically. Our officer on duty since the start of this fiscal year heard shots fired when we were on patrol in a neighborhood. We saw a car speeding down the neighborhood in a residential street, so he lit them up to go follow them, pulled them over. There were 3 gentlemen from Houston that he was not sure if they had just participated in a drive-by or not. So he had to wait and call for backup. It turns out that luckily he did have 2 who were able to come and back him up on shift at that time, and also one of them was armed. Now the extent of what happened after that, I don't know, but they are facing safety issues, as is true with any first responder or police officer. So to say that we need to make sure we have enough staff for backup, enough staff for them to proactively patrol, enough invested into them to know that they are valued, that they have a salary that's competitive and the things that they need, that is something that I think is a priority for businesses and residents as well. Additionally, I was able to attend with our fire department and ride along with them and go to an active fire. They were also short-staffed. There was one gentleman on, I believe, the little truck is called a pumper truck. I'm sorry, I don't know the vocabulary. But I saw a fire, which was an active fire, next to a pipeline, next to hundreds and or thousands of acres, don't know the number, that was right next to it that had to be put out. And as he had to climb over the stumps and the tree limbs of what was there with the hose that he pulled from the pumper truck, I think is the correct word, multiple times his hose cut off. Multiple times. The equipment is so outdated and so broken when they are actively fighting a fire and he's the only one trained, to the point he got to climb over twice to go restart the water because he had to first put out the active fire, then spray the tree line, and then call the pipeline company because there's a fire nearby. We just heard a gentleman talk about the dangers of a pipeline. Okay? You know what I did? As he continued climbing back and forth, as one guy trying to fight the fire, I had to stick my hand inside the engine to keep it in place so that his fire wouldn't go out. So when I say I value the public safety of our community and our first responders over all else, I said it online and I'll say it here. I stand by that 100%. And if you choose to remove me from the board, that is fine. I will still advocate for them because I know what I put online was accurate information. I know it came from training. I know I was seeking the community feedback and I was not participating in a walking form. And I will always and forever put them and public safety for our community first. And I have more to say, but don't worry, I will post it on Facebook. Thank you.
Chief, how are we on the officers?
We're doing great. Should have 2 starting again next week, well, maybe 1 Thursday. Did get good news today. I love to report Officer Megan Krause, who was injured here maybe 4 months ago. She's not going to have surgery and will return to work on Thursday. So that's a but we have picked up 2 additional officers that have already started. One's waiting on uniforms. He will pick them up on Thursday. There's another officer who we are working on 3 backgrounds. So before the end of the year, we'll be fully staffed.
So we get rid of EDC's fund and hopefully it would land where we want it to be, all while still paying for the county's, us running out to the county. So let's get rid of one board and one set of money to continue to fund it while the county still has to pay, while we're still trying to make them understand the repercussions of what's going on.
So in the response email from our city manager, it says, quote, we have discussed to possibly reduce the EDC funding but not have considered eliminating it thus far to establish a special district or convert the EDC to an MDD, which was the second opinion that I offered in the email. The voters would have the choice to eliminate EDC of the 0.25% and reallocate it to the general fund, or they would have the choice to eliminate the EDC and reallocate it to 2 special funds, either all to a municipal district, which would allow you to tax your ETJ as well and continue type B projects, or to an ESD, which is the Emergency Services District, that would give money back to where we need it most. In the email to the staff and however they communicated it, I said that we should be waiting or discussing or talking to voters in order for the voters to make the decision and get their feedback. As well, I asked for the dates of when the voters to put it on a ballot to if it went there, and I was told that the last day to order a general election and place a measure on the ballot, there was one for August 19th, so we would have missed it for November, but the next one is February 14th. And so it's all within this fiscal year. So we are communicating the options to our voters and telling them what's possible while talking to the county where they still might kick in or not. It does not stop business development, but it does release funds, and more importantly, it gives the voters the power to choose how they want their tax money spent. Because when I look at the budget in the EDC, and they're looking to get into the the fund balance for a $200,000 grant program that they want approved that doesn't exist. They want the money approved so they can make the grant program. For a $10,000 program to go to a $100,000 program so they can make changes on it. For $30,000 worth of travel. For a special line item for a couple of people, but not a citywide implementation of, I guess, a few people will receive tuition assistance valued around $12,000 a year. Meanwhile, our firefighters don't have swift water training. Meanwhile, their equipment is breaking. So yes, I do think that the voters should be given information on how different pots of money could be eliminated or reallocated, and we inform them and we let them make the decisions on how they feel EDC has prioritized budgets and how we could help fix what was called a crisis when we called a special forum to demand that people go up to the county and talk to them to see that, to make sure that they're taking in more money. So yes, I am guilty of talking to the community and getting their feedback and saying this is a legal option and it would be in the hands of the voters.
I promise you, put anything taxed on the ballot, it's all not gonna get approved.
I don't speak for my voters in that way. I allow them to have that voice or give feedback. They ask great questions. One of them was, well, what about the bond payment that is under the EDC? Which is a fantastic question, and I'm glad that that person reached out and asked. And as of now, if we're not dipping into the fund for a $100,000 branding survey or other things, and if it was to be dissolved, that entire fund balance would pay off the bond in full. So you would be left with no debt. And you would be able to reallocate with an ESD or an MDD, which would still allow for special projects and other things to happen. Expand your tax base to your ETJ and only require 5 board members instead of 7 because of the state saying how cities have a hard time finding volunteers on boards.
And NMD would not work over here, especially with right now the legislation. All you have to do is request to be removed from the ETJ.
I understand that there's conversations to be had, but it's also an option to just remove it and not ask for a special district of anything, or only an ESD, or just do it to the general fund. All of those are options for our voters. All of those are things that can be communicated to the voters. All of those are options for when we're looking at 10% increase on water rates, 10% increase on sewer rates. I asked yesterday in a sit-down meeting whether or not our property tax is going to go up or down or stay the same. Didn't get a hard answer because we're still waiting on official values. We just got great news about this this water treatment that is fantastic for the city, but it adds to your debt service, which means it's going to have to be paid. So the community needs to know this information, and they need to know what their options are. And yes, prioritizing the voter's voice and public safety and the community, I believe, is the duty of city council. And I'm not going to say whether or not they would or would not pass something, because I would hope that we provided enough information and answered enough information, and then we allowed them the choice and the voice for how their tax dollars are spent before we just continue to increase or have a loss of service, or God forbid, one firefighter on a fire and the wind catch up and all of a sudden we have a loss of life, because that's negligence.
Motion to move forward with the vote.
Okay, do I have a motion? Do I have a second? Okay. I have a motion and a second.
I do just want to say real fast that everyone up here, I think everyone in this room understands how important our first responders are. I don't think any of us take that lightly. I think what's happened over the last couple of weeks with some of this information, and as we dig into, there's a lot of question marks. There's a lot of question marks in some of these statements that could risk certain things. But I just want to, Mayor, you say all the time, the city has many different challenges. We don't have the funds for all the challenges. And Ms. Hall, to your point of some of the funding that you see in the EDC budget, quite frankly, is some of this is stuff that we haven't done in the past that we're catching up on. That are things that go hand in hand with bringing more of a tax base, to bring in more money, to fund some of the projects, to get more for our departments, for our first responders, for our city departments. That I think that we're in a very strategic point right now in our city, to where I think we have to be taking care of everyone the best, absolutely the best we can, but also with having an eye on how we plan for our future. I'll leave it at that.
I'll follow up. I agree with what you're saying, but there's also money being asked for out of, over $1 million being asked for out of the reserves for programs that don't exist, that haven't had feedback from the community about what types of grants or incentives, that haven't been through a plan process, that aren't tied to any type of master plan, which again, Emilio suggested that one was official, hasn't seen the attorney's eyes or anything else. So there are some things that might be catch up, but there are also some things that's just releasing money there, and then we'll figure out how to use it later once it's released.
Well, and when it's released, you have those opportunities for public hearings. You have the opportunities to, a lot of what's in the EDC packet is some feasibility studies and everything to grow the right way to be a part of that master plan. I will give Emilio credit. That's one of the things I think that he's come in with an eye for. So we're not throwing good money after bad. We have a limited amount of money. It seems like a big amount, but no, we have to be very smart. This is taxpayer money. We have to make sure that the dollars that we spend are going toward toward a future that's planned out, that we don't look up 3 years from now and say, well, we just spent this, we got to do it again because we weren't thinking the right way. So some of those, yes, are some studies, are some master plans, are placeholders that are there to tackle those issues.
I agree with what you're saying, and I also agree that our voters and our community have a voice, and that getting their feedback is just as valuable in the process.
And I want to say right now that every EDC meeting and every city council meeting is open to the public. Y'all are more than welcome to come, express your voice, express we want to hear from you. So we do not have a closed door policy.
Okay, I'm gonna say this. At the beginning of the budget process, we got that orientation. You know, this is a long process, you know, stuff that we're looking at. 70-year-old infrastructure, potholes, street paving. You gotta look at burden on the taxpayers, you know. Employee salaries. We got 15 departments. We got 130 employees. We appreciate every employee for the job that they're doing. We appreciate the first responders, the city manager, city secretary, public works, water department, the clerks. I mean, my job as mayor, I have to look out. We're gonna be fair. We talk to every department head. Fire chief, police chief, you know, we know what we don't have. We know what we need. And I say all the time, we have to do the best we can with the resources that we have. You know, tell people, I had an interview today with Houston Chronicle. You know, told the guy that our household income is around $48,000 per household. Drive 10 minutes, it's double that and more. You know, we can't compete with Uncle. We can't compete with the Woodlands. I mean, we can't, the salaries that they have, the equipment that they have. I mean, we can stay in the ballpark with them. And we're gonna do our very best to stay in the ballpark. And, you know, God knows, I wouldn't wanna see any policeman or any fireman, anybody get hurt. I wouldn't wanna, I mean, you know, being the mayor, I don't get paid anything, much stipend. But I take this serious. This is my home. I've been here my whole life. I want to keep everybody safe. I want fire protection. I want police protection. I got grandkids here now. You know, my children, they grown and gone, but I got grandkids here. You know, we doing the best we can, but we got to do the best we can with everybody. We just can't single out two groups and say, okay, well, we're going to do this for you and the rest of y'all. No, we have to take care of everybody. But we have to keep them safe, though. I mean, we're not going to put nobody out there to get hurt. I mean, a lot of these young policemen, you know, the age of my kids. I mean, you know, we're going to keep them safe. You know, Broussard, we've been here our whole life. You know, we're not going to put anybody in any danger. You know, Sean Anderson been here his whole life. You know, we have to be realistic on what we can do. I mean, everybody that from Scott all the way down is underpaid. Everybody. Underpaid. Council, we really don't get any, they don't get no money. I mean, come on. So, I'm saying that, you know, we're going to do the best we can with this budget, and I hope it's good enough. Now, we can be in the same ballpark with the surrounding cities. I mean, we're in the same ballpark, but that goalpost's going to move when we give our employees raises. The surrounding cities, Uncle, they're just going to move the goalpost again. You know, and we can't keep up with them. But we're going to do our best to try. And we're going to provide our people with the right equipment and you know, the best we can do. So, with that being said, I got a motion and a second.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make one more comment.
Okay.
The suggestion that was offered to the city and to the community for feedback did not stop business development. It took away your hands being tied to type E projects only. It also preserves staff, because if you look at the city of Dayton, what they did was they eliminated a position such as Emilio's and placed the EDC under the direction of the city manager when in a budget deficit a couple of years ago. The suggestion of the volunteer board being eliminated if the voters chose, and that money being put back into a fund for either special services, for emergency services, or for the municipal district that would expand the tax base, or just to the general fund to where projects such as the one with the water could be funded under the direction and guidance of Mr. Emilio. I'm sorry, I don't know your last name, but it would not continue, it would not stop business development. It would not be an increase to our tax payers. It would just reallocate the funding. And I just wanted to clear that up, that it was not an aim to not promote the city. As a matter of fact, I have tried my best, even on the board, promoting the city and businesses around the city through social media. But I also believe in being transparent with our voters and allowing them to know what all the options are and giving feedback on all of the options. That I would like to vote.
Well, we have to do it first. We have to communicate with each other first.
Yes, sir. I sent it to our city manager for him to communicate it through the weekly emails.
Yeah, but you gotta, I mean, every meeting, I give each council member anything you want to say, any idea you got, anything going on. You know, it would be good to, it's on camera, express it, you know, to everybody. You know, I don't have any say on who's on any board or committee. I don't have any say. But, you know, it all comes down to communication. You know, before you take something out to the public, you got to discuss it with your colleagues first. I mean, you know, you have to.
I respectfully disagree.
We can put it on the agenda or something. I mean, you just can't. I just don't go out and I'm going to
first of all, I'm gonna check with my senior manager first.
Yes, sir, I
Then
did.
I check with the, well,
And then I spoke with the public.
okay, I got a motion and a second.
I'm sorry, you were explaining that I didn't communicate, and I'm saying that I went through the steps to communicate because we were told to communicate via the city manager, who sends out weekly emails on Thursdays to communicate with the board to avoid the idea or the appearance of a walking forum. So communicating the idea or suggestion and what happened after the fact, there was not a follow-up to the board or included, there was a follow-up to me directly, and it wasn't until after I asked questions, because my understanding was that they were discussing reducing the budget in an email sent directly to me in response to what I was told. And then things were moving forward as an emergency session to pay for a study up to $100,000. And I was just, my comment to the community was, we should be looking at the budget process as a whole and all of the options before moving anything else and prioritizing a brand new study to see what comes of the budget and the budget process. But I did communicate it to the city well a week over or before, asking the community. So no, I did not call the council members because, as I told the council member who called me, if I called one and they called another, we just received training that was automatically a quorum. So I went to feedback from the community to get their idea, because if I'm going to have to vote for or against something, I needed to be a representative of their voice. However, I know you've already made your decision, and that's why it's on this agenda item right now. However, I did communicate with the city manager a week over. It happened, as well as communicated with the members of the community that are the voters. And so I respectfully disagree that I have to call council members in order to have an opinion or in order to get feedback from the community on the opinion that I have related to city matters.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Okay. Motion carries 3-0. 3-1. Okay. First reading of the resolution approving the proposed 2024-2025 fiscal year budget and projects at EDC. Yeah, so just an update on what this is. This is primarily for the project approval. This is kind of my own personal preference handling things under Chapter 158, which requires 2 readings before approving. And so this is just the first reading, so the council can review and discuss, and the public can review and discuss. And then it'll be, if it's ready for adoption, that will happen at the next meeting. So there's no action required. Okay. If council prefers to vote each time. But you don't have the numbers though, right?
This is on, this goes back to the EDC.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And the projects that they've identified and their project, which has come as a recommendation to the city council.
Okay.
And we want to do the workshops.
Okay, I think everyone is versed on that. First, could this be first reading? No. Okay. Well, okay, everybody's good with that. Okay, that'll be the first reading. Y'all got it. Okay, item number 29, discussion regarding the proposed 2024-2025 city budget.
Okay. Mayor and council, we did have our workshop last Thursday to go over the proposed budget. We did have Councilwoman Hall and Councilman McWaters was not able to attend last week, and so I met with him to kind of go over a briefing with the budget this week, and so that has been presented. We were hoping to be able to have our official numbers from the county for our tax and truth and taxation numbers from the county, but as of at 7:30, we still do not have anything from the county regarding that. And so we're not going to be able to finalize anything at this time. So we will have to call another budget workshop probably next week or two. Once we receive the numbers, and then we can work on that, and then we will be able to call a meeting for us to go over what the actual numbers are that we receive from the county, and to be able to see how that's going to affect our proposed budget. Again, our budget has been based on the numbers that we have received from all three counties. As of last Monday, we finally received the last of the certified values, and so Pam and I used that to kind of create our estimate, but there's several numbers that we do not have that we have to get from the county, and so we know that our estimates are going to change. Some could go either way, and so but tonight we do have to, the next agenda item, we will have to approve a proposed tax rate. We will then have our public hearing on the tax rate in September 17th, where we will also adopt the official debt rate, M&O rate, and approve the levy. Obviously, we'll have our second reading on the EDC projects. There will be a lot of budget-related items on that September meeting. So there's not any changes to discuss tonight. If there's any questions y'all have regarding the budget, we can address some of those at this time. But other than that, there's really nothing that we can change. Any updates until we get the numbers from the county. We do need to make a motion tonight to basically to adopt the budget on the September meeting.
Yeah, just since we're in budget tax season, I'm going to routinely be apologizing on behalf of the legislature for what they were their statute. Their statute requires action at the beginning of the budget hearing. It doesn't have to be to approve the budget, and so everyone's left scratching their head wondering what action that is. Generally, most cities will just have a motion to consider adoption of the final budget at whatever date they're going to consider adoption of the final budget. That's the action. And so I would suggest a motion to consider adoption of the final budget at the September 17th council meeting.
Okay. Is this the time, on the discussion, is this the time to ask questions about line items that might need to have a second look before we move to adopt in September?
Yes, we can.
So, like, for example, based off of the EDC and city budget, they split the tuition assistance for a specific department and or specific employees. I didn't see it as a citywide initiative that we were opening tuition assistance. It's valued around $12,000. So is that something that stays in, targeted to only certain employees, or something that's removed because it's not a citywide program open to all?
Correct. That is that tuition and educational reimbursement is for the EDC employees. That we've got two employees, which is the director and the manager, that is split between development services and community development services and EDC, and that is part of their package. So it's split between those two, for those two employees that are directly tied to and paid out of EDC.
Part of the funding in that line item included around $4,000 from city funds. It was split with the EDC. So the city is funding tuition as well as the EDC, and that's not preferred treatment or something?
It's available to all employees. They requested it. Any employee that requests tuition reimbursement, they speak with their department head. The department head lets us know during the budget process, and it's added to the budget. So they were the ones that requested it.
Okay, and so so it's open for request to all
Any department, any employee can speak with their department head to request that funding, and we will work it into the budget.
And
so I guess I may be confused. So yes, in the budget, we split it, those two positions that are in there, but that program is open to all employees for that.
Okay, do you have any other questions? Okay, do I have a motion?
I make a motion that we propose to adopt the budget in the September meeting. Is that the correct wording?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Okay, a motion by Mr. McElwain, a second by Mr. Button. All those in favor? Okay, motion carries 4-0. Okay.
Well, look, we do have one more item. We have a regular vote to approve the proposed tax rate for the FY 2025. We will officially vote on September to do the actual vote. But as of right now, since we do not have any actual numbers from the county, our best estimate that we have done is what we presented last week at the budget workshop, the senior budget book. And we are proposing that tax rate to be 76.5 cents per 100 in our equation.
Do we need a similar worded?
This one does have to be a record vote, so we will need a motion and a second, and then we will have to go each individual council to get your yes or no.
Make a motion to approve the, 76.5%?
Proposal. Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Buckley. Is that?
Second, yeah.
Second by Mr. McElwain. All those in favor?
You said we have to.
Oh,
We got to do it.
recall, I'm sorry. Okay, Mr. Buckley? Four. Mr. Warren? Four. Ms. Hall? Again, okay. Okay, motion carries 3-1. Okay, we have nothing for executive session. Can I get a motion to adjourn? Or do I just?
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Adjourn.